This is part 2 of my quest for a big Stour roach. It's Boxing Day 2020. I've got up early this morning to get out on the river. The river's been really high this week. We've had some major floods on the upper river right across the fields, and on the middle river it's certainly been over the fields. On the banks there's standing water, and that's still got cat ice on it from the 2 hard frosts we've had the last 2 days. But the river's settled really well since yesterday, settling down on Christmas Day. It's got a good flow on it, but it's certainly fishable, and the colour's improving. It's what I call green-brown, and I've gone down the river just for an hour and a half just to see if I can catch a roach worth catching. I'm quite hopeful of certainly catching roach, and I'll settle for my old half a dozen with one of them, a net fish over 8 ounces. That would be quite good. The day's started a bit of with an extra walk. I walked up for the paper shop to get the papers. The papers were there on the pavement. The shop wasn't open. There's no sign when they would open, and it was I had to go somewhere else for the papers. So with a half a mile walk to the swims where I wanted to fish, I've walked a mile and a half before I've even started fishing. The wind's picking up all morning and all afternoon, with gales forecast tonight, and heavy rain again, so I dare say the river will come up again. The river's quiet. There's one guy lure fishing near the bypass bridge. Doesn't seem to be catching anything. The only other things fishing are the egret, the young heron, the kingfishers. The cormorants are flying over. There's a few canoeists around on the river. They're keeping the cormorants at bay, so they have some purpose. And I'm going to fish with a different rod today. It's a Colmic Superior. It's a 14-foot. Colmic don't seem to do rods under 14 foot. They do 15 foot as well, and bolognese rods. This one's got a light action, and it's fairly well suited to fishing a big avon, fishing a 5-gram avon with a size 14 Drennan silverfish barbless hook. The line I'm using is a Colmic line, Superior Steel I think it's called. Trying that for the first time. I've loaded up a spool on my Mitchell match with that. The little bit of tatty plastic you'll see on the end of the handle, I've wrapped the handle in cling film because the rod's on loan while I try it out, trying to keep it reasonably clean. I've modified the reel fitting a little bit by putting a clip-on 3D printed plastic part there that makes the handle a bit thicker. I still don't like the sort of 18 millimeter reel fittings. This brings it up to about 24-25 millimeters. It's not exactly how I'd like it. If I was to keep the rod, I'd put cork on there and make it around about 28 millimeters. The wind's fairly favourable, though it's blowing, and when I start it's sort of off my back mainly, and quite easy to fish. I've mixed up a gross gardon and brown breadcrumb, about 2/3 gross gardon. I want it fairly stiff to get down in the fairly strong current. We're looking at 11 foot of water there, and I want it to go down and then break up. Let's see if I can catch a good roach. Right from the off, I'm putting in some ground bait. It's mixed quite stiffly, putting in about a golf ball, and compressing it hard so it goes straight down to the bottom. This is a good start. It's about 4th trot down, hit a decent roach. Good to see how this rod reacts with a fish on the end in a current. Nice roach, about 10 ounces. Straight into another decent one. Not much smaller, about half a pound. Been fishing about half an hour now. Had a couple of little ones after those two better ones. But this feels a lot better. That's more like it. Just over a pound at 1.2. Moved up river. I caught one or two more out of that first swim, but they weren't any great size. The swim seemed to be dying. The wind's getting up now. First trot in the new swim. Can you spot the deliberate mistake? Fortunately, it's not too hard to put the landing net together. It's not a monster, but needs the net. Another one about 10 ounces. After that first decent one in this swim, I've had 2 or 3 smaller ones. Although it's brightened up, the wind's picking up slowly. It's a case of feeding. I don't get carried away, but I keep making sure there's some feed in there. A few of these 3 and 4 ounce fish that are coming to the ground bait now. Don't mind catching them. I'd rather get a decent one or two. That sun's gone in now, maybe there's a chance of a better one. This feels a lot bigger. Deep down in that strong current. Give a bit of line there. Never quite sure how big a fish is when they're like this. I don't think it's a monster, but definitely the sort of fish I'd like to land today. The rod's nice for playing fish on. Certainly a lively fish. Not very keen on coming to the net. It's fish number 13. Not so unlucky today. Look at that for a cracking roach. Just under £1.5 pounds. Fin perfect. See why I don't put them in keep nets, they stay that way. After that, good fish. Seem to be the smaller ones moved in over the ground bait. Had a few more 3 or 4 ounce ones, and one about £0.5 pound. It's been a good 90 minutes. Didn't want to come out for very long, just a short session, run the cameras, get home for some lunch before the wind and rain came in the afternoon. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Hope to do some more before the end of the season. Still trying to catch a big roach, try some different swims, and see if I can get one a bit bigger. Please click like and subscribe. Cheerio from me for now.